What should we else know? Well, how does a horse carry up his back from nature? Well, he does that with a suspension system, I call it. Between each little, what is called here, vertebra, there's a ligament system. That means that when a horse takes his head forward in front of the vertical, he kind of lifts his back. You can see it again on racehorses. Every time they jump forward, they take their neck and head back to get the hind legs underneath them. And that's very important to know, that the minute we get the horse to go false in the neck, which we see a lot of riders does with their horses, this becomes the highest point of the outline, and he do this false giving in, this illusion of a horse who is correct. He can't use this suspension system anymore. He is forced or doomed to carry his rider in his back muscles. That means that he will tighten up his back muscles to carry the rider's weight. Now, the back muscles is not designed for carrying weight like this. And he would pretty fast be sore on his back, put a lot of weight on his front legs, shoulders and ligaments, and he will probably be worn down prematurely. So this outline, which we always in the principles of dressage have talked about, that the horse should be open here and the nose should be in front of vertical. That's not because it looks nice. It's because the horse can't use his body correct if he is not allowed to have the nose in front of the vertical. We can see it also in walk. It doesn't take half our training to teach the horse in the walk to make this wrong bending of the neck, and the walk will disappear. If Regina now walk him forward, you will see every time he moves the front leg, he not with his head. He lifts his head up and down in the rhythm of the front leg movement. If we try to compress the horse in front and bend his neck because we want him to give in, he can't walk anymore. And that is why so many of our horses lose the natural walk, they get lateral. And I can't accept, there is kind of an acceptance in dressage nowadays that a horse can't walk when we come up in the high classes. When we collect the walk, the clearness of that walk disappears. That's, in my opinion, a proof of wrong riding. We should improve each movement of the horse. We should not accept that we take the natural movement out of a horse. And that is purely because the horse is not allowed to use his neck and body like nature have created it. This suspension system is very important, and that's why I prefer to ride young horses very open. I never allow horses to come in behind the vertical. I mean, when we start to collect them, we can't avoid it. And we can say, well, a horse can be behind the vertical and still have forwardness to the bit, and then it's all right. But I always have in mind that I will be able to ride him out again, out in front of the vertical, like a young horse. If you have a Grand Prix horse, at any present stage in the training, you should be able to ask that rider to have the horse to look like a young horse. If you can't do that, the horse is incorrect. That doesn't mean that we don't stretch them down, because all our work, we want them to make their back muscles longer. We talk about they lift their back, but actually it's not so much they lift their back. They do that when they buck, and they do that when they get rid of their manure. What do you call that? Yeah, they go to the toilet. Then you will see that they lift their back, but that's all too strengthening for a horse to do that. No, we're talking about they make their back longer, they relax their back, so the back legs can swing in underneath the body. And that we're interested in, but that doesn't come by shaping the horse in the hand and make him round in the neck. That comes by riding him from behind, forward, and forward to the hand. A lot of riders start the lessons by kind of dragging the horse in or shaping them around, but this will just create an illusion about a horse that moves the right way. Because when you bend his neck He will just learn to avoid the action of the bit, and he will learn to go in behind the bit. And once you have learned or taught the horse that, you have a problem. You will never be able to influence the hindquarters, closing of the hindquarters. So it's very important in my training that the horses learn to go to the bit in the right way, and that the outline of the horse will always remain correct. Okay, that was the suspension system. Now, when we're talking about a horse starts to carry the rider's weight and starts to give in, where he gives in is here. He will close his hip joint, knee and hock more, an equal closing of these three joints. From nature, the horse pushes. I call it go on two joints. He will push with these two joints and will not use his knee sufficiently. That we have to teach him by training. So when we're talking about, everybody talks about the bending of the hock. Where a lot of horses actually has the problem, that's the knee joint. From nature, he pushes. That means he pushes his weight forward. 70% of his weight is on the forehand approximately. We mount him, and that doesn't make this relationship any better. That means he will put the center of gravity more towards his forehand. When we mount the young horse, you will feel that they stumble, and they are insecure. When we have trained the horse through these principles, we teach him kind of to move the center of gravity more to his hindquarters. That means we want to teach him to not step in much longer, but to close these joints. And here the true art of dressage is, because that's difficult. The other problem we face when we're talking about that he has to close these three joints is that from nature a horse is crooked. You have all seen a dog run from behind, and you will see that a lot of dogs, they kind of run along on two tracks. So does the horse. He kind of has a strong side and perhaps a weaker side. There has been a lot of theories why they are crooked. That they might, when they have been lying in the womb of the mare, that they have been lying on one side, or that we always lead them around to the left. But I don't believe that. I believe it's like we are right-handed and left-handed. So are the horse. He will have one back leg, one side he prefers to use. And you can always see this when you put a young horse into the arena. He will prefer to run around on one track perhaps. You try to make him change the track and go out on the long side, but the minute he can, he will spin around and run around on the same circle again. You can see it when you launch them. They are very balanced perhaps on one hand, but when you try to change the hand, he will try to turn around if he can. That's because of this crookedness. And you should learn that any horse is crooked. That means that this horse is a little crooked to the right. He prefers to go on kind of the right track. It's much easier for him to strike off in right canter. He takes contact on the left side, but will try to avoid contact on the right side. That means he kind of has a hollow side. Now, a horse like that, who kind of, if you have the camera on my legs, my wife hates when I do this, but he pushes like this to get, and he takes his hindquarters a little aside. Now we now have to teach him to step straight in, to go with the same bending of the hind legs. And that's difficult for him. He will avoid that when he's young. But if you don't understand this natural crookedness, you will work against it instead of working with it. That means that you will feel that this horse is stiff on the left side, and he kind of wants to bend to the right side. But he's not stiff on the left side. He just have the left side as the long side, and he will not stretch the right side. So now the work is not to work on the left side as such, because that's long, and we want the horse to make his sides longer laterally, but to make the right side longer, to teach him to stretch the right side as much as he can stretch the left side. And that is why when we're working young horses, it's not a matter of bending work at all. We try to get both sides the same length. Teach the horse to stretch both sides equally. First, when you have taught the horse that, you can start to talk about we can achieve anything by bending him. If you try to bend the horse to the stiff side and have the idea that he should be more smooth there, the only thing you will achieve is that he learns to come in behind your hand. To bend an object to the left, he needs to be able to stretch his right side, and that's very important. So a lot of the first year's training is to accustom the horse to go straight, to go with the same equal amount of weight on both hindquarters. And this is not only a matter of strength, it's always also a matter of motorics. You can try to go up when you sweep your stable alley and try to turn the broom around and do it the other way. And try to work out that you don't have that motoric on that side. And that's actually what we want the horse to do by doing all the exercises to both sides. We want him to be equal good at bending both sides and stretching both sides equally, and his motoric in the beginning won't allow this. So that's why it takes time.